Hi everyone, welcome back. Today's going to be a little bit different. We're going to be inside today talking about printing. I've had the Canon PRO-1000, which is just sitting over here for a little while now. And I'm going to be going through the pros and cons of the printer, as well as doing some prints.
Don't forget about the competition.
And yes, stay tuned, there may be a competition at the end of the video. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so I guess the first thing up is why print in the first place. For me, it's really the final step in the whole photography process. We go through the planning, the taking the photo, the editing, the sending it out to a client, or putting it on social media. But for me, the last step is really actual printing, and I don't do it anywhere near enough, so I want to get into doing that a little bit more. Secondly, there's really a lot of work that goes into photography. There's a whole planning process, working out where to go, what time of the day to go, what time of the year to go if we're doing astrophotography, which direction to point the camera. Generally it's at the subject, but if the subject is something like the Milky Way or a setting sunset, then you've only got a couple of options. And it's really about where you need to be placing yourself to get the image. Then there's the taking of the image itself, the editing. If you've got multiple images, then putting them together and working out what kind of edit you want to do, how the light's going to look, that kind of thing. So after all that, it's nice to have a final physical print, I feel anyway. So for me, that's one of the main reasons for printing. It's also nice to have them up on the wall. I've done some decorating recently, so I've got the background the way I want it. This is also my office for during the day. And I do have a spare spot where I want to print something to put in there today. I've also got an image from a fellow photographer, Virat. He did an image probably a couple of months ago now, and I did mention to him that it was a good image and probably worthwhile putting up on the wall. So I said, send me the image and I'll do a print for him. So he sent that through, and I'm going to be going through the print of that one today. The Canon PRO-1000 is an intro level printer to the Canon professional level of printers. The printing area is 19 inches, so it can take up to A2 size paper quite easily. And the ability to be able to print up to A2 is definitely one of the benefits of this kind of printer. I have a couple of packs of different paper that I've picked up as well. I've got some A4 and A3 size papers which I'll be using today. Some of the other positives are the whole ink system. So there's 12 cartridges built into the printer, so you get a wide range of colors, which is great. The inks are also a pigment ink. Doesn't matter how many times I try and say that, I still don't get it right. The pigment inks add to the quality of the print. One of the things from those kinds of inks is the fact that it actually lasts a lot longer. The printer also has the ability to put a coat over the top of the inks, which actually helps maintain the colors as well. I've had a couple of printers in the past, generally some inkjet printers, and I've had a color laser. But I would definitely say that this printer produces the highest quality print of any printer that I've ever had. But that is also a feature that you definitely pay for. And speaking of cost, that brings us to some of the downsides. This thing is expensive. Not only is it expensive to purchase outright, but the ink system too can be quite expensive. As I mentioned, there's 12 cartridges that come with this printer. Each one can be replaced individually. There's also a container that collects any unused ink, and that needs to be replaced on a regular basis as well. I've been quite surprised at the amount that I've been able to print with the inks that came with the printer. But this is a complete set of the cartridges to replace. All the cartridges have been pretty much used up at the same time, which was lucky, and I've purchased a full set of cartridges to replace. Again, that was a bit of an expensive exercise. So the printer has finally started up. It does take a couple of minutes to start up. It actually agitates the ink a little bit. It also has a bit of a maintenance process where it actually tries to flush out some of the old ink through the lines, so there's no ink that gets stuck in the print lines. So you can see from the display, which is actually quite useful, that all the inks are either empty or pretty much close to empty. So I'm just going to go and replace them now. So this is one of the replacement inks. This is the grey color. This is all color coded, so you know exactly which ones to replace. Got to give it a bit of a shake just to make sure that the ink inside is evenly distributed in the case itself. Replacing the ink is just a matter of pushing that in, grabbing the old one out, pushing the new one in, connecting it up, and that's pretty much it. So I'm just going to finish that and do the same thing for each of the other colors. If you ever do replace one of these, just bear in mind that not to take the plastic end off. That's generally a bad thing. Don't ask me how I know. Generally in the past when I've had an inkjet printer, they do come with a plastic end, and that gets taken off before you put it into the printer. But in this case, that's not something that you should do. So just before getting into the printing, I just wanted to talk about the paper that I have. I have 2 packs of Ilford paper. Both are from the Gallery series of papers from Ilford. So it's actually quite high quality paper. This is a sample pack. It's an A4 sample pack. It has 6 different types of paper in it, about 5 sheets of each paper. So it's a good way to get an idea of what kind of images print well on what kind of different paper. So this is the list of the different types of paper that you have. I've tried a couple already and they've come out pretty well, especially the cotton rag. I'm quite liking that for some sunrise and sunset type of photos, but I think that's probably a bit of a personal choice. But today I'm going to be printing on smooth pearl. This is A3, actually A3 plus size. So I'll be printing one of my images on this. I still need to finalize which one I'm going to do. I think I've narrowed it down to 1 out of potentially 3 different images, so I'll get to that in a minute. But this is the A3 smooth pearl paper. I've had images printed in the past and they've all been done on smooth pearl, so I do know that actually works with a lot of the images that I have. Okay, so this is the Canon professional print and layout application that I've downloaded from the Canon website. I'm going to be using this to actually doing the printing. I have the printer set up. The printer is actually set up on Wi-Fi, and it's using the printer MAC address. I did have it set up using the printer IP address, but if the IP address changes, it has issues connecting to the printer, so I've set it up again with just the MAC address. Just going to load in the image that I have selected to print. So I finally made a decision. So I've selected this waterfall one. Just rotate that the other way so that you can actually see it a little bit better. This is currently defaulting to the plain paper on A4. I'm going to change that to the custom paper that I've loaded. Some paper companies give you a printer profile for the different types of printer that you can buy. I've jumped on the Ilford website and then downloaded the printer profile for the smooth pearl A3 plus paper and loaded it onto the computer, so that's what I'm going to use. That will produce a better result on the actual paper itself. I've actually loaded in the A3 plus and I want to print it with a margin, so that's what we have at the moment. So that's pretty much ready to print. A couple of other things that are available as settings just before we do a print. We can go into the color settings. You can change the brightness, so you can make it a little bit brighter. Generally, I edit my photos and they're quite a bit dark, and that's kind of just my style. So I think for printing, I might just lighten that up just a smidge. You can adjust the contrast. You can adjust some of the color balances. You can adjust your cyan, your magenta, and your yellow. Generally, I add too much yellow to my images as well, so I'm just going to bring that down a little bit. I quite like that, but I'm not going to adjust it too much. I was quite happy with how it came out when I finished the edit. So that's the image that I'm going to print. So this image was taken on a recent outing to Queensland. We went over there recently to catch up with some people who were not only some great friends, but just amazing people as well, and had an amazing time, and definitely be looking at going back. While we were there, we went out to this rainforest, and I've done a video of that. You can check that out in some of the previous videos, and I'll link that in the section below. But for the moment, I think that's pretty much ready to print. I'm pretty happy with how that looks. Got a single image, I've got it centered on the paper, and I've got a bit of a border. The paper itself will probably be a little bit bigger than the frame that it's got into, so I'm fine with that. And that's pretty much everything that I think that I need to be setting up. Under color management, I've got the use ICCC profile, which is pretty much just saying use the paper profile that I've loaded up for this particular type of paper. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. I think I'm ready to print. So that's my image printed. I'm going to move on to the one that I was going to do for VRAT. The image itself that's just come out, I was pretty happy with that. It was a little bit darker, but I think I liked it. The scene that I was printing was intended to be quite a dark scene with a lot of the light focusing on the waterfall. So that's actually come out pretty well. So I'm quite happy to put that up on the wall. So this is the image from VRAT. He sent me 3 of them. I think this is probably going to be the one that's going to come out best for printing. I've kept all the existing settings. I've still got the Ilford printer color profile. I've still got the A3 Plus paper. Just one thing to point out, this gray area around here, that's kind of indicating that it's going to be a section that's not going to print correctly. But I think that's probably more to do with the fact that it's an A3 Plus with margin. So generally when I've printed these in the past, it's actually come out okay. So I don't think there's anything else on this section that I need to be changing. One thing I am going to change though, I think because of the type of scene that VRAT has here, this is actually a sunrise shot of Cottesloe Beach, which is a local beach near us. But I think this particular image probably needs to be brightened up a little bit just for printing. My monitors here are not calibrated, and I do end up having to push the color a little bit, so I generally have to increase the brightness. And I think given the type of scene that VRAT has here, I think that's going to warrant a bit of brightness. I do like the colors in the sky and how it contrasts against the colors in the water, especially when there's a lot of the greens and that kind of stuff around as well. So I think that's pretty much it. I don't think I'll be wanting to change too much. I have reset the yellow. So that's a little bit too far. So yeah, I don't know if I need to adjust the yellow in this one. Again, the yellow adjustment is probably more my preference, but this is VRAT's image, so he's already edited it the way he likes, so I'm happy to print it just like that. Okay, I think that's pretty much done. Let's give this a print. Okay, I think those prints came out pretty well. I'm pretty happy with the one that's going to go up in the wall, and hopefully Virat enjoys the print that I've done for him today as well.
Don't forget about the competition.
Yep, and of course there is the competition. So the competition is going to be a free print. I'm going to announce that in about 3 weeks time, so 3 weeks after this video comes out. If you want to enter or be considered for that, make sure you're following my YouTube account, and also leave a comment below. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you out there next time. And I'm going to be going through the Pro-1000, done some sort of pigment ink system, pigment ink. So this is a replacement, so this is